Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to more of the BTS Europe series. We're hopping into our second match of the day. It's game number 2 of Escape, going against Flipside. I'm KotLGuy, and that is Blaze, a man of many hats, our head admin, and along with occasionally our awesome analyst co-caster. Always a pleasure to have you, my man. So Flipside take game number 1. Now, they do have Dendi as a stand-in, but it wasn't all the Dendi show. I mean, it was more of a PA show, really, if anything.
Yeah. Just shows what the full potential of the RNG can be. We got to see it a few times for, like, say, MVP Phoenix during TI, but this hero has so much potential, and not only in the right hands, but when you are looking for those opportunities. It's not just about the crit happening. It's about making initiations with the assumption that you are going to get at least one crit and trying to make those opportunities happen. So daggering and being very aggressive, being very active, and then having heroes like the Wisp and the Witch Doctor, which can have your back at every point of the game. So yeah, they played around it really well. They were able to find their first win here. Well, actually, second win if you look at the groups as a whole. And we're going to be seeing if they can actually 2-0 Escape Gaming to give them a full point of contest into the remainder of the group stage.
The lesson learned is you have to believe the crit will be there.
Exactly.
And it will be there.
Yeah.
And
like
TMW,
there are some people that like won't understand it fully, and they'll just be like, "Oh, he got lucky." LOL. I mean, sure, the fans of Escapes that will have that a little bit of bias towards that mentality, but really, in reality, you don't always get the route when you want to push it. You have to really look for the positioning and the attacks to make that happen when you need it to happen. So yeah, there's some luck, there's some RNG involved, but in the end, I do think that TMW played it really well to make the initiations, make the jumps he did, and I can't wait to see what they bring to this next game as they go once again into the next Assassin.
Yeah.
But this time without a Keeper of the Light.
Just feeling pretty confident about the pick, or at least feeling pretty damn good that Shotchko is going to be able to do a nice job with it. And he did. He had some great setups in the last game, some crucial stuns, and was able to make a nice impact. So they'll just kind of give it another rump in the hay, if you will. Leading in, of course, with that Oracle pickup. Escape in the meantime, grab up the Sand King, and follow up soon after with Lady Mirana. So I anticipate this is going to be, just a typical offlane KotLGuy. Now, KotLGuy, as an offlane player, for those who don't know, this guy is like one of the last people to make that transition outside of Breaky CPK, of course, from Han into the Dota scene. And he was very ambitious, going into Dota, and he grinded, man. He grinded at the time like every offlaner you could ever imagine that was going to be decent or undecent. Constant Darkseer play. I remember at the time, constant Enchantress play even. Just he wanted to make sure he was up to snuff with every offlane that was in the game, in the meta right now, and if that meant 20, 30 games, whatever straight, then so be it. So I'm sure he's going to be up to par, up to snuff with his Sand King game. I look forward to it here. But the Mirana, though, I'm more curious to see. Are we anticipating it's a Yapsor Mirana? Because I feel like that is something I'm used to seeing for Escape, not so much Era/Quakefa playing it. Is that? Am I off the mark on that one, or?
I mean, I have seen Yapsor pick it up for sure, and he definitely has the penchant for being very active and mobile on the map. Like he wants to make things happen. He definitely wants to be less restricted. So the Earth Spirit fit in pretty well in playstyle, if not in the hero of the game. But yeah,
is that a Dendi Pudge?
Please.
Is that a Dendi Pudge?
I mean, I'm gonna be the skeptic, and I'm gonna say that it's just as likely to be like a Roger Pudge roaming around, being supportive and enabling his team. But a man could dream, right?
I would just I'm with you. I feel like if I'm to see a Pudge this day and age, it's likely to see it in either two situations. One, full clown shoes like we got yesterday, and that they're just picking it because it's do or die, and then obviously more like the wing style, that 4 position. And for even wings themselves, the games they played it in, they were like their first games. Their first game of TI, their first game in the grand finals, or their first game in the main event. And it could have been even just to kind of relax them a bit. Just know, this game, it's for fun. Let's just feel them out a bit, and then we'll really kind of ramp it up in the games moving forward. If they happen to get the win, that's great. And sometimes you may be able to. It's not like every day you're practicing and grinding and going against the Pudge. He'll hit you with an element of surprise that could just throw your game off entirely. And maybe Flipside are going to be going for that here and now. But you got Dendi on your team, and this guy is notoriously known as one of the best Pudges and pretty much the face of Pudge in Dota itself. So who knows? Maybe Flipside could be using that as a bit of a mind game, but nonetheless, any Pudge game, I am elated. I am so happy right now. This patch is great.
It
I mean,
really
people were
is.
talking about it. It's like people are starting to try to make waves that the patch is bad just so we can still get a new patch because people are starting to get worried that the patch is too good and too balanced that we might not see another one again soon. Now, there is some heroes that still need to kind of make it into captain's mode, and that's going to be a puzzle in itself. But I got to say, overall, I'm very happy.
Yeah, that's gonna be the Dendy Invoker. This
Okay.
this actually makes a lot of sense here. Now they're gonna be able to make movements across the map. You're gonna have a roaming Pudge always lurking in the shadows. You have the Vendetta Nyx moving around. This means that you need to be on top of observers and sentries very early on because you need to see both these heroes making their movements when they do. And they're gonna just try to play a very passive state. They realize that it's gonna be very gank heavy from Flipside. Their late game isn't gonna be the strongest here with these four heroes, no matter what carry is selected, unless it's like a Spectre or Medusa or something. And that means that is going to be the Naga Siren that they want to go with here. Now, I believe that is going to be a one-position Naga. Again, we've been seeing a lot of variations here, and it technically could be Naga Disruptor as the supports, Mirana as a mid, Sand as an offlane, but it's just, it feels very carry-esque here. I feel like they want this game to go later, and if they
Yeah.
can find the Radiance quickly enough, then they'll be able to make that happen.
I mean, Naga's great for this kind of situation. She's not great for a crowd-pleasing kind of a hero. We get that. But you know what? It seems to be the kind of combo breaker that could be essential against Flipside, who could be very bull rushy. I mean, you look at Invoker; he's got his whole wombo combo. He's got a set rhythm of, what he wants to be able to get off in the chaos of a fight. A Pudge, after a hook, they're looking for the follow-up kind of a plays. Oracle's looking to dish out everything to follow up a false promise, and she could just be there with that song to really rain on the parade of Flipside. Just when they're starting to get into like a serious rhythm of a fight, it could totally like disorient them and be a real problem. So I'm very anxious to see how Flipside could be rounding things out because it looks like what they have left is only that 4 position. So I don't know how many options they have out there, but they might need to consider some more like anti-illusion gaming.
I think that Flipside actually go for their hard carry as their last pick.
Oh,
but-
you're right.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right.
I
Sorry.
do
I forgot
actually
the Pudge.
yeah, I really do feel like this Naga Siren is going to be Era's pick. I think it's going to be a really good safe lane selection because I think they have a pretty good read on the game that farming space is going to be very limited, whether because of the Nyx Assassin or the Pudge in areas where they just don't have good vision of. It's going to be very hard to actually get out on the map and take creeps. And so if you have illusions that are doing that for you, you're in a good position. But if you have to yourself go out there, hit the creeps, and find farm that way, you're going to be always putting yourself in danger. You're always just going to be like, is there a Nyx literally 5 feet in front of me? Is there a Pudge in the tree line next to me with a hook into Dismember into Sunstrike? Like, that's an easy way to find a kill on literally any hero. So Naga Siren has the extra illusions to block out hooks, as well as the fact that she can just farm from a distance. And that's the most important thing in my mind.
Fun to see that, let's say if this Pudge is able to kind of put together something like an Ether Lens, he could hook a certain Naga Siren even out of a song.
Oh, really? Is that the range will work?
I mean, I'm looking at the numbers here. You got 1250
Ooh, whoa,
on the
whoa.
song, and then, of course,
1300
range. But, okay, Slark coming out last definitely changes things quite a bit. Mirana and Naga,
Yeah, I don't think you will run a Naga and a Slark both as cores.
No.
I feel like it's
I
way
mean,
too greedy.
Lore-wise and fish-wise, it
Yeah.
works, but
Well, one supporting the other can work too.
That's true.
That's true. Every relationship has a good give and take. But no, I read this game as a Mirana going to the mid lane, as a Slark farming the safe lane, as a Naga and a Disruptor as the supports with the Sand King in the off lane. I'm not sure who will be supporting the Sand King. It could be even the Naga and the Sand King together. I think that could be really good if you go for the early 4-man shield and the 4-position Naga, and you're just both right up there in whatever carries face. And that means Flipside have to go for a longer ranged hero. Going for a melee hero is actually very dangerous here. The Caustic could really jeopardize their laning configuration, but we'll see how TMW can manage it, as we do see Dende pick up the Invoker, and as mentioned, Roger on the Pudge.
yeah, with a Pudge involved, you really never know what's going to be in store for you. He kind of falls in that same category as almost the support Mirana here, but
I'm afraid. I'm so scared that Escape are just going to out. They're going to be too greedy. Like,
Naga
how do you
and
run
Slark
Naga Slark?
on the same team is them saying, we'll just hope that we can coast through the early and the mid game.
They're saying, I hope this game goes 45 plus minutes. Like, that is such a gamble. If they get shut down in the laning phase, they are screwed.
It just makes it feel like they really do not want to have any sort of opponent's interaction. But conflicting that is something like the Marana. It's like if you're going to commit for support Marana, it's almost like a support Pudge. You have a quota to meet, I'd imagine, in the early part of the game, and you're looking to run around and make some plays and set some things up.
Man, I was telling
So,
you, I was so on board with the carry Naga in this situation, but the Slark on top of it is so ridiculous. You don't need a Slark to guarantee this late game. You have it already. The enemy has Nyx, Pudge, Oracle. Like, no matter what they pick, you have a Naga as guaranteeing your late game. But then you put a Slark on top of it, and you only weaken yourself in my mind. I actually feel like that's a really bad last pick on the Slark, but we'll have to see. Slark is still very well matched up against the Nyx Assassin because he doesn't care about Spike Carapace hardly at all.
yeah.
Like, more often than not, your Dark Pact will trigger the Spike Carapace, and it's such a small instance of damage, it's almost negligible, and then instantly dispels it. So then you're still pounding on him. So I do think the Slark matches up well against the Nyx Assassin. I do think he'll be able to do some good things in this game. I'm just worried that they put too many greedy heroes in play, and all Flipside have to do is just snowball. All they have to do is just start off with like a 5 kill advantage. If they can get the first Roche, if they can take the first 2 team fights, we're going to see all the tier 2s gone, and it's going to be KotLGuy fighting for behind. I'm sure he's capable as the Naga Siren here, but you need money. You need the Radiance, and it's going to take a long time.
Yeah. We're not denying the fact that Escape do have the ability to be able to kind of pull this one out, but you can't help but feel like, based on paper and based on the picks before you, that if Flipside have any sort of relatively decent laning phase and decent mid game, that this will just be certain doom for Escape. And if it's anything like game number 1, Flipside have shown that they kind of have that capability. Now, given the hero picks are pretty different, and you don't have a crazy PA who can kind of get into the fighting game as early as someone like the Inti Mage, but there are plenty of other elements to Flipside's game that could just kind of fill that void. Obviously the Pudge being one of them. If he's able to kind of land some of these early game hooks, it's just, again, going to be so off-putting to Escape that if he's able to kind of just be in the face of this Naga and cause so much disruption, that they're just going to be so far behind. And I don't know. We'll just have to see here. It looks like Roger is able to reconnect to the game, so we should get underway in just a moment. This is game number 2. If for anyone who is just tuning in to the BTS Europe series, this is only the start of our day. We have 3 2-game series for you coming up. Right now, Flipside of taking on Escape Gaming, of course. Escape sitting at a pretty good pretty good spot rather here in Group A with a 2-0 shutout they already have going against Yellow Submarine, but now down 1 game, as Flipside know they need to win both of these games if they want a chance to be at the top of that group.
All right.
We'll get underway. Early smoke once again from Roger, and it looks like he's again going to put the ward in the same spot.
Yep, nice little movement there with the smoke on top. What you can do is actually, without a smoke, go into this position here, and then you can actually ward the high ground from the low ground, and that's actually a really nice way. Say, if you're up against a Dire Alchemist, and you want to make sure that the top bounty rune doesn't go to him, that's a really great ward to place. But they invest both in smoke and the TP, and this is something we're seeing a lot more from certain teams. I actually only first saw it a few days ago when Empire versus Vega, one of them were doing it, and then they kind of took it from there. Like, I've been seeing it most games from that point forward. So around that time, teams realized, hey, we can do 2 TPs, 1 smoke both heroes, and we can guarantee that the enemy won't see these wards where they're placed. And you can get them a little bit deeper. Like, this ward is a lot better because if you have somebody farming the Dire East hard camp, you're actually able to essentially get vision of that the neutrals are going to be moving around and fighting off whoever's farming them, a Sand King or whoever, and you're actually going to be able to get a good eye on that. So while it's a little bit, it costs the smoke, it's a little bit riskier, it actually gives you that much more intel, just a little few feet forward.
Yeah, and whether it be for any sort of defensive measures to see how Escape are going to be transitioning through the lanes, or whether it's more for their own offensive potential, which can't help but feel like it could be more for the latter, especially with the lineup Flipside had where they would love to have a strong head start. We'll have to see if that ward could lead to some early harassment or early plays in that mid lane against Escape. His secondary ward is also going to be going down, this one towards the top. It's a bit more deep, and we'll be able to scout out at least the bigger pull camp nearby. So
Yeah, but I have to say that as much as we've been talking about Flipside's wards, I actually don't think their wards matter all that much by comparison to Escape's. Escape have to get eyes on the Pudge. At level 2 is going to be looking for hooks on any lane that he finds an opportunity.
Hmm.
And we can say the same thing about the Sentry wards when the Vendetta comes into play. So Synderen, he's been sitting on these 2 wards. He just gave 2 to Yapsor, but they haven't placed anything. And either that means they're trying to add time and longevity to their ward duration by waiting it out. Sometimes you can wait like a full minute or two before you place your first set of wards.
Yeah.
But in this case, it does mean that you have to be very careful about the placement and make sure that the enemy doesn't see it because you already see 1 sentry ward on Roger, and he'll buy as many as necessary to keep his movements obscure.
They know that Era is kind of hanging around towards this top rune, and he will be greatly outnumbered, as Flipside will be able to sweep in and claim that one for themselves. And KotLGuy will be grabbing up the other here, and it looks like he will take it on his Naga and towards this mid lane setup. The Naga versus Invoker. Now, based on 1v1 Blaze, I mean, who do you really got? But I don't know how much of a 1v1 it's going to be. Roger's here for now, and I'm curious to see how long he plans on staying. Yet to put his first point in, and it's going to be into the rot.
Yeah,
And he's
so
going to zone back.
it's going to be a little difficult because as long as you have mana, you're okay to like trade like this in this position, but you'll run out of mana pretty quickly if you can't get a quick enough bottle, and then the Naga has nothing to do with the lane. He's always going to be pushing it out with Riptide, and then he's going to be exposing himself to Pudge. But at the same time, since Pudge is actually staying in this lane, it does mean that he is taking half the experience.
We're getting a bit of some footsie game happening here in the bottom already, as some early pressure does come out from Escape, posturing up in this nice early aggressive lane. KotLGuy not afraid to kind of look to go for that first burrow strike, but they will not claim their first victim. First victim of the game will actually go towards the way of the neutrals, it looks like, after Roger does some casual harassment in the mid lane, loses enough life where he'll just take his own life and do the express trip down to this bottom lane. They're now going to make it more of an even match in numbers. Will the element of the Roger surprise land them into a first blood? Without a hook, it's not going to be so easy, but they will at least step in with the Fortune's End. But by that point, Escape are already far back enough in this lane.
Yeah, he's mostly here just to go ahead and take experience away from bottom instead of from mid. Dendy needs that experience to really get online. That's why you see Midas on Invoker. So while Dendy does start off with the Exhort and Wex to guarantee a really good, easy last hitting, he needs experience too, and the Pudge needs to find it elsewhere. But we will note that the Sentry Ward blocked their own camp. It should be intentionally at this point. Everybody knows the spawn boxes, so they don't want the hard camp to be pulled or to be spawning for the Mirana. But in the meantime, that does mean that they're going to have to stack and pull an easy camp if Pudge is going to get his level 2.
Bounty pops out. Yapsor hiding behind the trees will be able to creep in and snag it up for himself. He does have 2 levels, so with an arrow and a leap, he'll be able to safely disengage. Roger's running around, still yet to get that level 2. I'm sure he's starting to get pretty thirsty for it. Definitely pushing yourself to getting that level 3 is when you can really make that good first power spike in the early game, having that level 2 hook. But here they go. A nice arrow connection is going to be on the Yapsor. They follow it up with a kinetic field. Then there's the burrow. With Thunderstrike on top, is it going to be enough potential to get the finish? It will. And it's going to be Escape Gaming who strike first. KotLGuy will pick up the first blood on his Sand King.
Pudge will pick up his level 2, but he has been scouted out by an Observer Ward. It looks like they're going to try to make a move this direction with the arrow available. Going to have to try to isolate him from the creep wave, though, and that's easier said than done. So it looks like it's just going to be a nice little first blood for Escape. Roger has his smoke, has his 2. We'll see where he goes with it.
Can't help but keep tabs. This bottom lane, as we know, is definitely where the action breaks out, whether it's a jumping in burrow strike or if Roger's able to connect with one of these hooks. It's something we'll have to continue to keep tabs on. But I do want to take a moment to head up all the way up north here to the 1v1 that's happening. KotLGuy again on his Nyx Assassin, but only having to take on Era on the Slark. Who really comes out the victor here, Blaze, or is this kind of a win-win for both of them?
No, it's a win for Slark for sure. In this situation, yeah, KotLGuy will get a lot more farm than he would be as like a 1v3 offlaner, but that doesn't really matter by comparison. Oh, and Dendy's going to eat the arrow. That might be a kill.
Oh, no. Yapsor with a beautiful setup. He's going to be the 4th position to make the first strides here and helps connect for KotLGuy to be able to secure that, escape off 2-0.
Yeah, very nice flank there. Saw it set up. Wasn't sure if Dundee was going to be able to scout it out in time, but it looks like he just didn't have any high ground vision and couldn't see the arrow coming until it was already right in his face. Very unfortunate for him. Roger's going to get a nice flank out here. Can he actually find a good hook? Looks like there was way too much on the tower for it to be worth his time. But yeah, up top, KotLGuy, like he'll get a lot more CS than he would as an offlaner. Actually, he's leading at 23-4. Era, I'm not exactly sure because he has 2 points in Essence Shift. He has Poor Man's Shield. These are the recipes to win melee versus melee, especially against the Knicks. But so far, Shotzlow
Yeah.
seems to be showing him up.
And it doesn't seem like Shashko adjusted the way his skill build at all to have this kind of a matchup. I'd imagine. I would think that in like 1v1s, don't Nixes typically like to grind up something like Mana Burn, or is he just preparing that eventually he'll go on the move and need that level up in the stun?
No, it's the stun is definitely the higher priority. If you're up against an intelligence hero, you'll definitely go for Mana Burn. But
Okay.
like Slark is so low on intelligence and pretty independent on mana if he has like a Bassi or an Aquila, that it's not really the high priority. The big thing that I'm looking at here is just that this Nyx, he's got with a little bit of Agi stolen 63 damage. The Slark has 76, and Shotzl is still destroying him, even if only by 3 CS. This is much more than I expected.
We'll have to see what kind of huge benefits Shashko will be able to take away from this one as he creeps closer to that level 6 and to that Vendetta ball. Bottom lane, there's going to be the Burrow, a quick glimpse. We'll try to send back TMW, but they get right back in the action. Oh, hook block! Unfortunately, Roger not going to be able to find his target. Unfortunate misplay right there. Can't really fault either of them. TMW just trying to get back into the grind and finds a bad spot to blink in.
Well, while the lane did surprise me quite a bit, now up top it's going to shift a lot because Era's hitting level 6, so he will have essentially unlimited HP, whereas before the Nyx was the one with that massive HP regen. Beyond that, Shotzl was probably going to look to gank, to roam and move with his Arcane Boots and his Vendetta, so it's going to be a 1v0 lane very shortly.
We'll touch base back at mid, as we know and saw before. Dendy brought down from that arrow, still holds up. Now at the top of the CS, neck and neck with his fellow Nyx assassin at 33 and 9. Quickfa right there, though, nipping at his heels at 31 as he already begins to venture off into the woods and continues to build up on the Naga here. So, expecting, of course, your typical incoming critical mass Naga Siren, unless Flipside really have anything to say. The hook from the Pudge, unfortunately, will not find its target as Synderen will be able to sidestep it. And now it could be the Pudge in a bit of trouble here. Thunderstrike, Burrow. A glimpse could be there if Synderen thinks it's necessary. Instead, we'll opt to use it onto TMW to pull him back and away. They will be able to get the finish onto Roger, but Synderen is going to be the next one in trouble. He gets taken down. AM will pick up that one, and it will be a 1-1 apiece.
It's really annoying here. Shotzl is actually just following Era, and it's still going bottom.
Yeah, it looks like they were able to connect with an arrow here on the Van score, and that means Yapster will be able to move in, gets the Starfall, and gets that kill. And we're not done yet. Roger moves in, gets the hook, pulls Kezu right back into his arms, looking to go for a bit of redemption here. There is going to be a Burrow strike out, though, and it looks like they might be able to create the bit of space, but Roger's got another hook in about 4 seconds. Yapsor is going to be forced to kind of force Roger back, but with TMW stepping in, now looking for the target. Oh, no!
Again.
He set off the hook a bit too late. Kezu already Burrow striked out and away, and that's going to lead to his own takedown, though. He actually gets the suicide off just in time, but another unfortunate situation could have led to a kill.
Oh my
man!
God.
Yapsor with the snipe gets the Starfall. Vanscore tries to help out with the Fate's Edict, but the auto attack was already there. Sunstrike, nice connection from Dendy. I was trying to catch the target there at the end, but Kezu's not going to be able to make it away. He gets the final say in the matter.
Yeah, but still, really great exchange there from Escape, now leading the kill score 5-2. Really just hot and heavy mess down bottom, and those hooks have to connect if you're going to make this Pudge pick worthwhile. Twice now, the Anti-Mage has been in front of the Pudge when he's going for the hooks, and that's just not the right coordination you need here, unfortunately. I'll also note that we actually, as we see the glimpse back, it looks like Synderen will be okay. But Magic Sticks are up for Mirana and for Sand King. Yapsor and Kezu were able to invest in this early, and in try-v-try situations, Magic Stick is one of the best items you can have because you have so many spells flying out. Even if it's just an AM blink, it's something that'll allow you to fight it out a little bit longer and even bait people to focus you a little bit too long.
Yaps are now going to be down by the side of Synderen, and all the meanwhile, we did have a bit of a high alert here for Escape. Shashko's on the prowl. He's no longer in that top lane, so you can bet your bippy that he's going to be out and around in Vendetta. Was not able to find any sort of target for his first movement, but is quickly segueing all the way down here to the bottom to be a part of this action here. It's pretty obvious he's had enough of the laning phase, and he wants to look to make an impact elsewhere.
Yeah, so we'll keep eyes peeled for all of that, but at least for right now, it is going to be a pretty convenient situation for the Slark, and this is what Escape wanted. Like I was talking about Greedy Heroes, but they've got a free lane for their Naga, they've got a free lane for their Slark, and they're going to be rapidly putting those two in the top net worth.
Looks like Shashko just come bottom. They are able to get the sentry deny here, but Escape are not letting themselves overextend into any sort of awkward position and be at risk of being caught out, especially when there is a good force of Flipside kind of missing from the map here. But, as you mentioned, this is a good time 4 people like Roger now. He's getting closer to his level 5, was unable to kind of really connect with too many early hooks, and just force his way into the mid game through kills alone. And, well, here's Cinderin now, able to move in. They get a nice little glimpse. He goes for the immediate TP, and that's a good heads-up play right there. Without any sort of secondary cancel, he's going to be able to make it out.
Yep, so he is going to be able to survive through all that here, but otherwise not seeing enough really come out for their side. In fact, we're going to see Escape make their move onto Dendy, who just used his Midas, but now he's going to lose his life.
Walk in, straight up burrow, straight up epi. Dendy will try his best to ghost walk and creep out the other side, but unfortunately it's a bit too slow with the epi slowdown, and of course the ghost walk he cannot get out, and he gets dropped.
Easy pickup on Cinderin, though. It's going to be shot slow, just opening up with your most basic of Nyx combos and being able to TP away from Era. So does clean up the support on the other side, but obviously Dendy is the big kill there. He was at the top net worth. He has his Midas, has been winning CS, and now suddenly he's shut down. And this is just a really tough spot because what happens when a Tri-v-Tri breaks out is that it actually promotes the solo lanes. Like, while casters will always focus on what's going on in those 3 versus 3 engagements, because obviously that's where the audience's interest is going to be, it's actually going to be where the 1v1s come out that actually determines where the next part of the game will go. And in these 1v1s, the Naga was able to kind of farm neutrally with the Invoker. Both got farm. And up top, this Slark started running away with it. And
he's got it.
Really
oh, no, he doesn't. Oh, man, they had crept so sneaky to get to that point, committing 2 wards to just easily coast up to that special spot. Roger's creeping in. He's trying to line it up, and, man, it's just a bit off the mark again. KotLGuy will be able to go from camp to camp without too much threat, and unfortunately Roger will just have to pick up his work and go elsewhere.
Yeah, Era's just going to keep pressuring the tower here. Does actually end up destroying it, and he's going to be doing it really, really well. It went out on the CS the way I expected because it didn't pick up a Quelling Blade as early as he normally would have, but is able to bring it back when the Nyx leaves the lane, push out the tower, and again, look at the net worth here. We've got 5,100 on the Naga, we got 4,500 on the Slark. These are recipes to make Escape's draft work. Even though I feel like they put a little bit of a weight on their shoulders by picking up the Slark last, they have these cores enabled, they have them picking up items, and once Era gets a Shadow Blade, he doesn't have to be a carry. He could be a ganker, and he could just focus on the mid game while Naga propels them towards late.
Yep. So, becomes pretty apparent here that Flipside are not able to kind of meet the quota they were hoping for in this early game, and they can only hope that now once all these level 6s are going to be coming together that they'll be able to make that next game impact. Bottom lane, Yapstar will be able to leap to avoid the Fortune's End from locking him down, and strides out to a bit of a safer pasture. So he's going to be in a good spot, and yeah, it looks like a smoke is going to be had here. Kezu is so close to his blink dagger.
Yeah, I think he'll go to the side chop to grab it.
Yeah, and then utilize it. So yeah, that's the new meta. You don't get the blink and then get the smoke. You have to get the smoke and then get the blink.
Oh,
you know?
But it breaks early, so it looks
does.
like it's just gonna go.
I hope this goes well for them.
Oh,
he actually gets hooked. Grab from Roger here. Pulls Kezu to the tower. Sorry. He doesn't manage to get the blink at the last second, so he will be able to hold on to that bit of gold. But here comes the comeback of Flipside. They'll make it 2. Emphatic Mana Void comes out on the Cinderin.
Great feat CD coming out from Manscore as well. A lot of static storm damage as well as the full combo from the Rana. Just does nothing to TMW. Even though, yeah, he's the tankier one against spells, that would have actually probably dropped him down to very critical HP, and being able to prevent that as well as hooking in the Sand King, they turned that around 100%.
That is the step we were hoping to see from Flipside if they wanted to be able to hold a candle to Escape and prevent them from reaching into the precious late game where they are hoping to be able to kind of stride into at this point. The sleeping dragon, as I like to say, of KotLGuy and his Naga Siren continues to grow a mass. Sacred Relic in the pocket, and Radiance coming in the near future. Flipside are going to have to prepare. I mean, how far are we hoping to see Flipside go before this Naga gets, to that point of, let's say, at least the Radiance and, like, the Manta? Tier 1's being broken down, I'd imagine, at least. I mean, they only have one Tier 1 mid lane. I would imagine Flipside are going to have to get to a point where they want to take fights and follow up with objectives so they can at least restrict the map a little bit more on the side of Escape.
I mean, it's a hard question to answer because there are so many things that they kind of need before they can actually address this Naga Siren. And we're going to hear an Epicenter blink coming out on the top lane. Shotslow doesn't get the Carapace off, will be going down very quickly. If not for the Caustic doing enough damage to kill him off. It was close. It was really close.
Beautiful time BM pause right at his own destruction right there. Of course, legitimately, Synderen has
Oh my
frozen,
gosh, it's
but
just gruesome on the showcase view too. He's just falling
let me just
apart.
get a close look at the innards that are left here. I can't even make up the anatomy of this Nyx assassin anymore. So beautiful caustic, beautiful jump in. Actually forces him to try to use the vendetta at the end and make it away. But there is your blink debut of Kezu on his Sand King. So good early impact up there. They'll take him out. There's no tier 1 tower to kind of follow up here for Escape as it was already taken down by Era, but nonetheless a good strike by them.
I mean, to answer your question about this Naga Siren and where Flipside need to be when this Radiance comes out, like, there is no real metric to determine this. Yes, Anti-Mage needs his Battle Fury by the time Naga gets its Radiance. That's almost a no-brainer, and yet that's not what's going to happen. The Radiance will come out first. The Invoker needs to be able to start making things happen on the mapping, start getting kills generated and pressure generated, or else the lanes just get pushed out and nothing will happen in Escape's favor. All these things are very, very clear cut and obvious, but the point to be made is that none of this is happening.
Roger, the man hanging out behind the tower right there, will be able to get the hook connection onto Kezu, but he will quickly be able to jump away. It does at least create the bit of a gap so that Flipside can't finish off that tier 1, and they will pull out and away. Funny note is, I just noticed, Escape still get to hold on to their fancy TITPs.
Oh, they do?
Yeah.
Oh, that's sick. That's sick.
Flipside are like, you know what? Good for you. Good for you and your cool TPs and your fancy Escape logo that hangs up above. One day, our Flipside logo, I hope, will be on top of a TP.
Certainly, certainly. That's worth its weight in gold right there for sure. But all the same, we're going to see the Shadow Blade unveiled on mid lane, but Sentry comes out at the exact same time, and Era and Vanscore both know about this, thanks to the Shadow Dance passive. Do you think that would be enough to nerf Slark? You just take away the fact that whether he knows he's being watched or not? I'd be okay with that.
I mean, I'm fine with it. Trust me. As a support player, I'm sick of them. But
the problem is you would notice your movement speed is slowed down or your HP regen is stopped. So I guess no matter what, you're going to be aware of it. But maybe if you just don't show the buff.
Yeah, maybe it's
that's
not
enough.
too blatant. Only the high skill players will actually put all the other stuff
My
into a
skill
factor.
cap, man.
I mean, they're making everything else easier. I mean, why don't they just buff the size of the buff box and just make it take half the screen so it's very apparent when there's wards around. But nonetheless, bottom lane, still Flipside kind of want to pressure out a bit, but Escape are anticipating, I don't know. I'm not seeing a whole lot of Roche potential at the moment for either team, so that's probably going to be put on the wayside for the future. But now rotations are coming in from Flip and Escape are moving down there. They move in to get a nice glimpse to send back out and away. The Oracle, Roger, looks like a man isolated and alone, will be taken down. Both Dendi and TMW are not going to have any say in that matter, and will just let Escape take him.
And some will talk about the fact that they just had to burn a Static Storm and an Epicenter to bring down a support, but any kills for Escape right now are great. They're always building momentum. They're always getting a firmer grasp on the game. If they're just delaying Flipside's strategy, and killing off Roger like that will accomplish this.
Back behind the tower, Kezu's feeling a bit frisky, makes the move for Dendi. Dendi walks back and away. He's going to be able to get the Sunstrike off. Will connect on the Era. Has to go into Ghost Walk, but they see him, and they're pouncing for him. They're going to be able to get him down. And now they look for the follow-up. Shotchglow. No one in Viz is safe. Sentries are down. Detection's in full force. Nice last-second save there by Vanscore. Is going to be able to get off the false promise. I don't know if enough damage has been through. Yeah, Purifying Flames are going to be coming through, so he should be fine. But back on the other side, they are going to be able to take the Miranda down. Kezu jumps back in, gets off the Burrow Strike, eats a Mana Void, though, and they're going to be able to start shredding him forward. Era makes the approach for TMW. Knight's Face Edict will prevent any sort of right-click damage, but then he quickly shrugs it off with that pact, and now looks to go for the finish. Nice clinch by him. A double kill for Era. Roger stringing together a couple of kills for himself, but it looks like he will ultimately hand them back over. Era secures it with a triple at the end, and it looks like TMW will be the only survivor for Flipside as he goes right back to the top lane to get right back into the farm.
I'll be honest with you, man. I don't know how you recover from this. I mean, you lose one hero, and then they burn 2 ultimates. They realize that you're weak and that you're trying to defend this tower with at most like 2 or 3 heroes because the anti-mage has to be farming and the Pudge is dead. That means that they could just keep on this pressure rolling. They can keep finding kills. They can keep building this momentum. And now a 12-7 kill score, as well as the net worth that I'm looking at, it's so difficult for Flipside to bring this back. They need Dendi to play out of his mind on the Invoker, and even then, I'm not sure they can take it.
Boots of travel en route for this Naga. Only means that her farming game and her mobility are going to be on the up and up. And as mentioned, with Escape already kind of sitting in this high position right now, Flipside are not going to have too many extra answers to be able to slow their roll of farm because they're just already doing so much work outside of Koikva. And they're not done yet. Jump in, Khezu, a man on a mission here. Nice connection with the burrow will lead to the arrow, but that will mean Khezu gets hooked himself. Put back in behind. Sunstrike will help get the finish. It's going to be Flipside with their own counterplay and response. Roger unable to find a couple of the hooks in the early game, but they're slowly coming together here and now, but they still will need more. Shashko looking to move in. Nice strike onto Yapster. We'll be able to connect, and the hook once again comes out from Roger Boy, and he'll be able to pull that one home. 2 kills the way of Flipside.
Nice little play there. But we're going to see the Static Storm and Kinetic onto Dendy, and he will be brought down once again, always having a Sentry Ward or Dust or even both, just to make sure they can kill off this Invoker. Very diligent action from Ciderid here, and they will just clean it up. Now a glimpse back. He's still going to get caught out here. Going to be the impaled, but in the end, I don't even think they want to chase this far. In fact, there's going to be a Slark pouncing out behind. It's going to be Vanscore has to ulti, and he has no TP, so he should die anyways.
Makes it very difficult. He can't simply Fates Edict this era Slark. He'll just get rid of it in the matter of a pack like that. Oh, tries to go for Shotgun. Not going to be able to get the finish here, but still, Flipside don't quite have enough to be able to get that Slark. Roger, blind hook. Just do it. With Roger here now, it would be a little bit easier when he has that Dismember lockdown to bring to the table, but it looks like Era is going to be able to slither himself right back out, but he's not looking to go too far. They're doing their job. They're being an absolute nuisance. They're getting in the face, and if Escape were even to kind of be on the slightly bad end of these trades, the big grand scheme of things is that KotLGuy farming and doing work. Back at mid lane, Era has been able to make the move for Roger, and he easily shreds him apart. That big man, he falls, and he falls hard. And Era is going to be able to just, again, skate away and be this nuisance.
I want to move away from the early game in a moment, but I do want to say one thing. As we go see Vanscore just get jumped on here, not enough mana for much of anything, but it's going to be Era who goes for the disengage and realizes he just won't be able to get the job done. But the one thing that I'm noting here is, as we just see Era just constantly on the roam, and actually because my anti-mage killed off on top thanks to a Sand King and Yapsor Arrow combo.
All that happens, they're still looking to go in for Era, who's been a real pain in the ass here for Flipside. It looks like they may have finally been able to get their chance at grabbing him down, but as I say that, Cinderin steps in, drops down the Static Storm, and now it's looking to be Escape's kind of a game. Just as Roger shows up, he gets sent right back home by Cinderin. Multiple plays coming out from him. Sunstrike not going to be on the mark. Vanscore looking to retreat, but they catch him with the burrow. Roger moves in. Can he get the hook? No! Not going to be able to find the connection to pull back anyone from Escape. And again, Escape going to be able to get the best end of it, especially with the AM being the first to fall in that top lane. It makes it all the sweeter.
Too much action to really analyze this game.
Yeah, sorry, dude. Every time you're trying to make a point, something happens.
Well, it's just the one point that kind of has an overarching theme of this game is I was questioning the Slark pick a lot, and I was wondering why they need to secure their late game with the Slark when they already have the Naga Siren as a core in this case. But at the end of the day, they can get away with it because they knew how they could control the laning phase. Escape realized that if they put the Sand King, the Disruptor, and the Mirana down bottom, the only way you answer that is by putting the Oracle, the Pudge, and the AM against it.
Yeah.
So what that ends up setting up is a Slark 1v1 versus the Nyx, which, yeah, Era didn't buy a Quelling Blade. Yeah, he lost a few CS to the Nyx. Whatever. He is able to win out and get the farm that he needs, and get to this point where he's almost unstoppable, where the Naga and the Slark together cannot be contested, and they'll just keep scaling and scaling. So while it seemed like it was a weight on their lineup, it was kind of an anchor holding them down, in actuality, the laning phase was set up so that it would almost be a guaranteed trajectory to the mid game, and therefore the late.
Wonderful showing for Escape to be able to kind of dictate what they want out of the overall big picture through that early laning phase. And Yapsor quickly realizing that there is just nowhere safe. As he goes down, so does his Nyx assassin buddy right on the other side of the globe. Yapsor setting up a kill himself in the top lane. Things are going from bad to worse for Flipside as the death count seriously begins to rise here. And you're still looking at a situation where this Naga is still not even needed. She's just kind of still that insurance policy for the team.
Yeah, absolutely. And going to be picking up that Mantis on a very short time frame. You see Team W, he's trying to cut creep waves. He's farming on the Dire side by the Secret Shop. He's just trying to get anything he can while he can. But at the end of the day, he's so far behind.
Looks like they've spotted Roger as he's hooked in Cinderin. Cinderin is going to be forced to pop out the Static Storm and everything, but he will lose his own life. Luckily, Khezu will be there as a strong teammate to be able to find the revenge for him. Still puts into a 3 versus 4 situation where Escape will be able to secure the and 1 in this top tier 2. And with the economy continuing to seriously dip in their favor, now past the 10K mark, when you already have a Naga farming so well on the team, you got to be able to really dig deep if you're a Flipside fan to see what the hell they're going to do to pull this one back.
Damn. I think the bottom lane might have been a bit of a gamble in the sense that, like, if the Pudge actually lands every hook that he's looking for, if they win out those trades, it can actually become very difficult to keep all those heroes, especially the Disruptor, down bottom. And then, obviously, you'll see them more comfortable to rotate, maybe Roger top, hit up a hook combo on the Slark before he gets level 6 and that kind of thing. But at this point, now that the lanes have played out the way they have, and we're 23 minutes in, we see that Escape are just on a tear. I mean, you've got a 7-0 and 4 Slark. You've got a 2-0 and 4 Naga in an even better situation than the Slark. And, I mean, she's got Radiance, Manta. She'll look towards maybe Octarine. And there's actually no clear path to the victory or even to holding their own side of the map. Like, they're fully on the defense with heroes that are meant to play at this stage of the game.
We got a 6-leg on 6-leg fight breaking out here between KotLGuy and ShotchGlow. KotLGuy looking to make the move in. They end up walking themselves into a 2-man stun. Era's able to find a kill himself all the meanwhile, but we'll keep action here at the top lane as KotLGuy not going to be able to make it away. Tries to blink out, but there's a Purifying Flames there waiting for him by the hands of Vanscore. Makes it a trade 1-for-1 all day, but with AM going down, obviously it's a better trade for Escape.
Yeah, I mean, they didn't even need the Static Storm to kill him off there. They just caught him with the ensnare, and after that he couldn't get out because he has no Manta yet. So in this situation, Slark is just doing so much burst physical damage, and they can kill anybody in a very short span of time.
What's that? Slark doing work? Yeah, he's still doing it. Top lane, jumping for ShotchGlow here. False Promise keeps him alive for now, but it's just delaying the inevitable as he'll eventually pop from the bubble. And then Roger, though, jumping in, gets a nice little trade, finding Yapsor here, looking for the grab on the Era, and blocked once more. Dendi, come on, you are a punch player here. Get out of the line of fire. Roger's so upset about it, he just throws himself into the enemies, and he ends up going down, and the rest of Escape, or Flipside rather, just get the hell back.
Good comeback ult at the very least, but they're going to need a lot more than that. The Anti-Mage still sitting on the Yasha here. A Gem of True Sight coming out for Vanscore. I like that. Has a better way to respond to the Slark than just Sentry Wards.
Oh, man, Dendi, he put on a really strong showing in game number 1 on the Timbersaw. We understand he is put in a situation where he was probably called as a last-second stand-in for Flipside. The Invoker game in game number 2, though, unfortunately, he has not been able to really go off the rails. 3-6-3, he's made a minor impact, but obviously not where Flipside were hoping to be with the lineup they put together. But bottom lane, the prey of TMW here, possibly being hunted. They ping out. Some attempts at... Oh my god! Yapsor connects with the arrow, seeking out where this AM could be through the trees, but a little bit of overhype for the arrow connection, I suppose, because AM is simply going to be able to blink away and find his way back home. But nonetheless, pretty cool arrow.
Yeah.
Is he still safe? I mean, he's
technically his TV's on cooldown, but I don't see anybody.
Arrow's flying.
Oh my god!
Again, arrow! Arrow with 2! He gets 2 arrows right now, and this one might lead to his demise. Synderen catches with the Static Storm, with the Kinetic Field. They got the Thunder Strike. The Glimpse is going to be there, and they will pull him back and away. Sorry, TMW. You got to go back into the trees where you belong and be taking Darrow. Unbelievable.
I cannot believe that. I mean, yes, it was set up with the fact that AM was farming with his TP on cooldown, moving him about the map, but finding him in the tree line 3 times.
Oh.
Absolutely ludicrous play from Yapsor here. Oh my gosh. I mean, it's just salt in the wound at this point. It's like, this AM, he feels like he's fighting against these titans, these things that are just unstoppable, these things that are far more powerful than he'll ever be, and now he gets caught out by the lowly support Mirana and just gets obliterated from therein.
A huge hit to the morale department, certainly.
Yeah, I mean, if the 15,000 gold deficit wasn't enough, the fact that you're up against 2 hard carries that could take this game 2 hours if they wanted to, and now you're getting caught in the trees like that.
Yeah. And Yapsor now has an Agdam Scepter, so if you get caught by these arrows again, he might be able to take you out by himself at this point.
I certainly hope we don't get to that stage, but it's, the way this game is going, you never know.
Really. Era joins his company here at the bottom lane, and it looks like Escape will be able to finish out the final outer tower of Flipside. So we're only going up, and by that I mean ascending up into the base, moving forward here if you're Escape. And just based on the huge deficit ahead of them, the options for Flipside to be able to hold are growing a bit thin. Now, you do have that cute factor of a high ground defense because you have something like the Pudge, and you can hope for those cheeky little hooks to happen to pull someone way out of position deep inside. But even then, Escape could almost use that to their advantage, setting up a song to follow up shortly after. Era is able to close the gap. Marana arrows could be coming into play, glimpses. So I don't know. It's a tough time for Roger if even you want to try to hook someone from the inside of your own base. Meanwhile, though, Escape, before they make that kind of approach, would only feel that much safer if they could secure themselves an extra life. So they go into the Roche and they battle it out with the big boy.
Man, this is just going to be the recipe they need to go up to the high ground. They have an Aegis and a Silver Edge on the Slark. He can blink in, he can Silver, and he will just be able to take down anybody in almost no time at all, especially if it's the Oracle, especially if there's any initiation from the Sand King at the exact same time. They have the burst potential, they have the extra life, they have the Shadow Dance, they've got everything.
Here we go, Escape. Looking to close out this series, the 1-1 split, and that could lead to, unfortunately, Flipside being taken out mathematically. Kez going to be off the mark with the burrow, but Roger eats just a wealth of damage and will be put into the grave. No defensive pudge for at least 40 seconds time. Nice glimpse back will send Shotchko under and into the Static Storm. There will be a save of the False Promise, but that means it's not going to be there for the AM or anyone else moving forward. Era's already gone to work. He gets rid of the Oracle after he gets everything off he needs, and I think this could be it. Now the Tier 3 going to be open. Shotchko is going to be waiting under his Ag's burrow, but chaos here as even Koikfa's help pressure down the mid lane at the same moment. Help being spread thin on the side of Flipside. Oh, and Shashglo hiding underground is able to kind of help with a bit of regen, but Era's like, you know what, while you're under there, just stay down there. I'll bury you alive. Puts him down and under. They're going to get the follow-up as Dendy will also be there to drop. Rax is on the bottom lane, now exposed. Escape will claim their first lane.
Yeah, and it's just me Era running them over. He's got so much agility stolen. He's got 14-0-7. He's gotten everything he wanted out of this game. They planned it out extremely well in terms of how the lanes would play out, and they just went from there, terrorizing the side of Flipside. I mean, yeah, you could try to tempo carry, you could try to put pressure out with this anti-mage, but when he has such a bad start, and when Naga and Slark get exactly what they want out of the beginning of the game, it's Escape's game all the way, and they're going to even go for the glimpse. Nope, it's going to be Manta Dodge. Very nice.
Nice time. I like that. I'll give him points for that little Wudodo moment.
But I'm afraid it's not enough. One Manta Dodge does not.
But he gets that final
victory.
smile, that little smirk. He's like, I lost the game, but at least I got to do that cool Manta Dodge. But I think Yapstor gets the props for the cool play there at the end, of course. Nonetheless, Escape about to claim their second set of racks and eventually the game here. Shotchko looking to move in for any sort of defense is welcome by a new Static Storm. And that will do it. 1-1 split for our first BO2 of the day. And I believe that will mean that, unfortunately for Flipside, they will only be walking out from this group stage with 2 points now already. So I don't know. I'll have to look this over a bit closer and see. But they may be out. I mean, we already have Friends with a 2-0. Actually, I guess you don't know. If Friends lose all their games, let's say Yellow Submarines 2-0 Friends.
The problem is when you have a match between two teams, one of them's going to win. So 2 points does not a group stage make, I'm afraid. And I think that might just be it for them. Yeah, they've played 3 matches. They've only...
Oh, they did play 3 matches.
Yeah, they've only taken a draw in 2. That's going to eliminate them. They may not be last, but... That is their showing here for the BTS series.
Okay, well, it was a good run. Flipside, it was nice seeing you. It was fun having Dendy as a stand-in there at the end. I'm sure we'll be seeing more from Flipside. I don't know if the Pro Dota Cup's over, but there'll be plenty other ringers for them to hop into. A valiant run for them, but Escape, big performance by them. We'll go ahead and take a moment to look over some of the stats now, but... could you pick an MVP really for that? I mean, we were going into the draft thinking, like, how the hell are Escape going to be able to kind of find their way into the later portion of the game? But I can't help feel like, Era on the Slark was able to kind of really be a tempo controller, really be a problem in the mid game. But what do you think? Is there really even one person you can kind of give the MVP, or was it overall just Escape?
I think it was the game plan. I think it was the idea that they could justify greedy picks because they could put out the pressure. And I think any member of that tri-lane can actually be given props for their performance there, because if that tri-lane messes up, it actually starts shifting the lanes and shifting how everything plays out, and it kind of is a domino effect where you start losing bottom, then you start losing your top, and then your mid, and it just goes from bad to worse from there. So everything did hinge on Escape managing their bottom lane. I think Synderen actually played really well in that. If everybody looks back at the replay, he was able to position himself well, always get the spells out he needed to in every exchange. But across the board, Yapsor, Synderen, and Kezu in that tri lane were able to facilitate cores who kind of let the heroes play themselves very effectively. At that, well played to Escape Gaming, and looking forward to seeing them in their next match coming up shortly.
Yeah, actually, we do, I believe, have an Escape doubleheader, as next they will be scoring up against, is it Friends?
It is.
Oh, my God. That's actually going to be a pretty hype match. I'm
yeah.
looking forward to it.
I was looking forward to it the other day, and it ended up having to be rescheduled, but still happy to be able to watch it here and see what these two teams have in store for us.
Friends right now have only played one series in their group, and they're currently 2-0, as they were actually 2-0 against Flipside, so should be a bit of a doozer. We'll go ahead and take a bit of a break. When we return, it will be that series matchup. I'm KotLGuy, that's Blaze. We'll see you soon for more Dota action. Take care.